Yeah, we know what Emu looks like now, and it is surprising, to say the least. We're going to talk about chapter 1179 today, my first chapter review. I'm really excited for this one. And I think in a few days when episode, I think it's 1156 comes out, or 1155, we're going to review that as well. So, 1179, Nerona Imu Descends. Now, this is a really crazy chapter. We have a lot going on. If you remember, in 1178, we kind of ended with Imu going back to Marijwa, and now we have a conversation between Imu and the Five Elders where Imu is like, hey, I need to go to Elbaf myself. And the Five Elders seem very worried. And they mention, like, oh, you shouldn't go to the lower realm. And usually when they say that, it's kind of like tongue-in-cheek about the people that live there. But it looks like it's legitimate fear that they're seeing that if something happens to Emu down there, or that something will likely happen if Emu goes down there. And while they're talking, we have Garling come in. And there's an interesting thing that Oda shows here. We've got the four elders that are remaining. We've got two empty chairs. Saturn's chair, which of course is now Garling, but Saturn's dead. And then we have the chair that Marcus Mars never sits in. Like, why is that chair there? He's always standing. Does he have, like, back problems when he sits? I don't know. But we have Garling coming in, and what Oda's showing us here is that there's a little bit of a disconnect between Garling and the other elders. There's clearly, he's not really one of the group. And when Garling walks in, he's like, hey, we need to figure out what's going on in Marijwa. We need to figure out this famine. We need to dominate the world with our military might. And while he's saying all of that, we have York. We have a cut to York, and York is like, hey, what are you guys doing? I need food. I'm hungry. And of course, they're like, hey, because she's sitting next to the Mother Flame, if you could, like, work on that and give us our infinite energy source, maybe we'd be able to help a little bit more. And when I'm talking about York, I've seen some discussions about this panel on York being like, hey, this is setting the seeds for York to betray the world government and move on to a different opportunity, which I actually don't really think so. York, although York is literally the incarnation of greed, it's like the emotion that Vegapunk decided to split away one of them. She represents greed specifically. I don't really think that's where Oda is going with that. I think this really is just like an example of the famine going on that Oda said, okay, I can see it. I can show you guys it's directly affecting someone. Of course, he could have just picked the Celestial Dragons, but I really don't think York is actually going to, like, double cross them and go find a different group or something to join. And York's a weird one. I didn't have a channel when Egghead was originally coming out. Like, it's a good question. Why did York really want to join the world government? I know it's the incarnation of greed, but she had almost everything she wanted at Egghead. She just wanted to eat and sleep all day, which she was able to do. So being in the world government, I really think it was just even more greed, just becoming the absolute most selfish person you could be, which in the world is a celestial dragon. And then we kind of go back to that conversation between Emu and the elders, and the elders are like, hey, why can't we just, like, dispatch admirals to go? And then we see Nustero say, like, we can't really do that, their hands are tied, which doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. I mean, what is more important right now than Emu potentially going to Elbaf, and I'm going to get into a little bit in a second, potentially causing harm to himself and all the Gods Knights there? Like, what else could they be doing? Akainu surely is not out in the field right now. He's still behind his desk. Send him, which could make a lot of sense, except for, you know, a fire magma guy on, like, a tree. That might not very go well. That might spread. Maybe we have Green Bull go. Maybe we have Kizaru go. Although Kizaru maybe needs, like, some time before he goes and gets into a big battle, if you know what I mean, after killing his friend. Emu and the Five Elders continue to have this conversation. And Emu's like, look, I have to go. This was inevitable. And then we see, like, different parts of the past with, like, Rocks initially saying, I'll be back. We see Roger saying, seek it out during his execution, which, of course, is referring to the One Piece. We see Neptune having Shirahoshi, Shanks, Harold. We see a bunch of different flashbacks. Blackbeard, Luffy, Whitebeard at Marineford saying, hey, the One Piece is real. And then we see, like, a picture of bounties being ripped, Luffy's and Blackbeard's, Luffy being referred to as Joy Boy, and Blackbeard being referred to as Davy Jones, of course. The will of Davy, his father, they're both a part of the Davy clan, so that makes a ton of sense. And Joy Boy, Luffy having the same fruit that Joy Boy had. And then we see a picture of Lily on the wall that Emu's kind of looking at and then saying Vivi. They look the same. Very interested to see, like, what happens with that line. We don't really know exactly what happened yet with Lily back in the day. We, of course, know that she never returned back to Alabasta. She spread the poneglyphs around the world, but we don't actually really know about her and Emu's relationship, which is one of the things I'm very excited to get to see. And then we get to see Emu kind of set it all in motion, and he starts to go to Elbaf. And then we cut to the elders, who seem very concerned. Like, there's a lot of concern on their faces, like, whoa, we can't stop you, but you should really reconsider. which is interesting. And I want to get in some theories about what like the elders are thinking right now in a little bit, but I do want to kind of further cover what's happening in the chapter here. So we see Imu start his transition to Elbaf, and then we get a cut to Summers, and Summers is of course in pieces. He's been cut by Zoro. And he literally has a steel heart, which is very interesting to see and explains why he's such an a-hole. And literally doesn't feel anything when he's killing people and actually feels joy. And we see Zoro go, oh, what? Steel heart, you say? Oh, steel. I've cut steel before. Zoro's like, I wonder if I did that. Would he die? And then we get another pan to another Summers face where he's like, freaking out about what could happen to him. And interestingly, we don't see that with Killing Him, who is also dismembered. We'll see in a second here. He doesn't have a steel heart. I don't think that's an Imu thing because Harold was able to join. We never saw anything about him having a steel heart or anything. And Killing Him is one of the ones we don't know how he joined, but we've seen his dismembered body. So I think that's just a Summers thing. That's not an Imu ability thing at all. And I, for one, hope that Zoro kind of just like pulls up the katana, just because I am a little bit tired of Summers, although he's becoming quite an enjoyable meme at this point. So then we actually do cut to Killing Him, talking a lot of crap to Sanji, who I guess is the one guarding him at the moment. So then we cut to Loki and Luffy's like, hey, how did that person you froze earlier, are they dead? And Loki's like, no, it's like a flash freeze, which only Ragnar can thaw out, but they won't be dead and they won't be able to escape it. And I've heard people mention that this actually could have been what happened to the Galilod giants at Punk Hazard. They're frozen if they were attacked by Ragnar, and that's how they were frozen, that Ragnar is the one that has to unfreeze them, which means they could be alive, which is part of Rox's plan. So we haven't seen anything about that, but that means we could be going to Punk Hazard again at some point in the future, which reinforces my idea that we're not really that close to the end. I mean, we're at the end, but like, I don't know, 5 years, give or take. What do you think? And then we cut to Nami looking out like, oh my god, what? There's just a massive like black smoke flame thing coming from close to the castle. We see the houses like singing a song, which people are calling the Drums of Oppression, which will be interesting to see how that actually sounds when the anime gets to it eventually. The trees are also kind of turning into singing demons, which is similar to Homies with Big Mom. It just looks like a more evil Emu version. And then we see like the continuals of Emu spawning in, a lot of people reacting, some people are fainting like Colin. And eventually we cut to the end and Killing Him and Summer see Emu coming in. They're like, oh my god, is that what is happening right now? And we cut to the top of the castle. Emu's on a spire, and he looks like, I'm about to spoil it if you haven't seen it, click off, but I imagine you would want to watch this in the first place. Looks like this. If you haven't seen it yet, that's what he looks like. The Squidward meme, oh he's hot, is coming in hot and fast. I forgot to mention, and I'll actually get to this right now. So, the Five Elders were very concerned about him coming to Elbaf, and partially might be because he's dying. Yeah, when you see this panel right here, there's blood on his face. When he spawns in, there was blood falling out, which means that maybe when he leaves Castle Pangaea, he has some sort of life force problem happening, or maybe he's just dying in general, which might be related to how he's been alive for this entire 1,000 years, or close to it, with the Void Century. Maybe he has, like, did a deal with the devil, and he can control the world, he's immortal, but when he leaves the castle, his life force starts to go away, or maybe with all these God's Knights and contracts he's been doing, his life force goes away. Or simply, maybe in this form, when he's in the lower realm, he's actually physically vulnerable for some reason. Potentially something with the Appi Appi no Mi. We don't know, but those are some of the theories about what's happening. And he's on top of this spire. We see a title, World Government Creator, one of the first 20 ability, Devil's Fruit. Yes, which could mean a couple different things. That has to be on purpose from Oda. He would have not just put it there. Devil's Fruit, not Devil Fruit model or Devil Fruit, like whatever it is. Devil's Fruit. Does he literally have like the first Devil Fruit? Did he create the Devil Fruit? Does he have the like original Devil Fruit? That is the question, or potentially it's like an actual devil that he made a deal with and he has the Devil's Fruit itself. Great writing there by Oda, because it leads up to a lot of interpretation. Sadly, right below it is another word section that I don't like. Break next week. God damn it. We have this cold-ass review, and he says, I'm going to let this stir for like 2 weeks. So, the one thing I really want to touch upon is what we mentioned a second ago, and the last little text screen that we miss is King of the World, Saint Nerona Imu, which I think I already showed you when I showed you his picture here. But it's really, really curious to see the relationship between the Elders and Imu, because I had actually mentioned this in a previous video about Gunko, who is really on Imu's side, you know what I mean? Like, when Gunko got free from Imu for a second, when Brooke was like, Princess Cherie, she went, oh my, that's who I am? Brooke, run! which to me means that she did not willingly become a God's Knight. And we know that the elders are really, really old. We don't know their complete relationship with Imu. Like, if Imu dies, do they die? Which I would think yes, because we knew Saturn was there at least 200 years ago when he was talking to Emmet back in the day when Emmet attacked Marijwa. Saturn was like, whoa, he was afraid of Imu. So Gunko, clearly, I don't think wants to be a God Knight, is doing that against her will. The elders, is that what's happening with them? Because it was genuine, like, fear for Imu, or was it fear for them? Everyone's saying it's fear for Imu, but if Imu dies, do the elders die? That's a question that I think we really need to get the answer to at some point, because Saturn, clearly, when he's dying, I'm sure does not like Imu. So, do the elders fear Imu like Gunko? Are they there against their will, or are they simply working with Imu? They created a contract however many hundred years ago, and now they're fearful that when Imu dies, if Imu dies, that they'll die. I've heard people mention that Imu is saying, like, hey, kind of talking to the elders, like, you rule for me if this doesn't work out when I'm gone, which it does not make a lot of sense. Like, this is literally the, you tell me if you think I'm wrong. This is the literal first chapter we've had where Imu's not just like, this needs to happen. This is going to work. I'm going to rule the world. Whatever we need to do is going to work. I cannot see Imu sacrificing himself so the elders can rule. He killed Saturn like that. So I don't really agree with that at all. I don't think that's what's happening here. I think Imu is just like realizing that, hey, Nika and Needhogg are together. I've seen this before because he's been alive forever. We know people had those devil fruits before. This is going to be a problem, and this might not work out for me. It's that serious. It's not him saying, like, look, guys, I'm going to go sacrifice myself for the greater good. No. This is just a real problem that's happening right now. And we saw that in the previous chapter when he said, this will divide the world. Which I'm not sure if he meant, like, this is going to be a fight to the death. Which, I guess that's what he was saying, but he was really saying that, like, this is going to be a big deal. Everyone's going to have to be involved. Great chapter. Really, really good. I read the spoilers ahead of time, so I was very excited to be hyped up. I didn't see the picture. Not what I thought he was going to look like. I heard some people mention, like, hey, oh, I forgot to mention this. A big thing I wanted to talk about. Look at this. Am I the only one that thinks he, like, are the horns not the horns that are similar to Harold and Loki? Like, I just want to pull up some pictures here. Maybe I'm crazy. Maybe these are, like, literal horns of a devil. But, yeah. Looks kind of similar. You tell me that doesn't look like an ancient giant. Now, from a size standpoint, I literally just don't think he's an ancient giant. But, yeah. Someone tell me what I'm missing there, because that looks like an ancient giant. Also, from, like, a white hair and color scheme. Maybe he's a Lunarian. Of course, we don't know what the color actually is yet. Maybe we get that in SBS or something. He kind of looks like a Lunarian. But then, like, the horns make me think he looks like an ancient giant, but he doesn't have the size, obviously. So, if you have any opinions on that part, please let me know, because I'm very curious to see what people's thoughts are. I haven't seen anyone call him an ancient giant, which obviously he's not that big, but the horns look like it. Maybe it's just he's literally the incarnation of the devil, so that makes some sense. I don't know. Or he could be a Lunarian. That could also make some sense. I'm really sad that we have a 2-week break, because, boy, it got juicy here. So, there's going to be just a lot of theories and everything coming out from this. And I actually don't want Imu to die in Elbaf here because, one, I feel like that'd be kind of rushed. And two, that would just leave Blackbeard. And I kind of think we need to learn a lot more about Imu and go into the Void Century and all that during the fight. I don't know. I think I'm rambling a bit here. Sorry. What do you guys think of the chapter? Did you enjoy it? I thought it was really good. You guys can leave a like and sub. We are a newer channel trying to just kind of make our way, you know, and you'll get recommended my videos if you like them. But yeah, appreciate you watching. I will see you guys next time. Thanks for watching.